Welcome in, everybody, to our deep dive, into the life of Peter Yarrow.
Peter Yarrow.
Yeah.
Quite a life.
Yeah, a folk icon. As I'm sure many of you know, best known as a member of Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Of course.
And the voice behind Puff the Magic Dragon.
Yeah.
And also a tireless activist.
Oh, yeah.
Sadly passed away recently at the age of 86.
86.
And I'm really excited to kind of dig into this material that you've gathered.
Yes.
And see if we can uncover some insights beyond the headlines with you today.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, Yarrow's life wasn't just about the music.
Right.
It was also interwoven with this really unique love story.
Right.
And a really profound commitment to social justice.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see how these threads all connect as we kind of delve into the material that you've provided.
Yeah. One of the things that immediately jumped out at me in preparing for this was Yarrow's relationship with Mary Beth McCarthy.
Oh, interesting.
This was not your typical love story.
They married in 1969.
Okay.
Divorced in 91.
Mm-hmm.
And then amazingly remarried in 2022, just before his passing.
Wow.
What are your thoughts on this reunion after such a long separation?
It's certainly unusual, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
But it really speaks to a deep and enduring bond that they must have shared.
Right.
And what I find particularly interesting is that even during their 12 years apart, McCarthy referred to Yarrow as her former husband rather than her ex.
Oh.
And that subtle difference really suggests to me this sort of lingering respect and affection that really kind of transcended their marital status. It makes you wonder what really kept them connected on that deeper level.
Yeah, it definitely makes you wonder. And, it makes me think about just the complexities of love.
Right.
And how it can evolve and endure even through, a separation like that.
Absolutely.
I'm also eager to jump into the music a little bit.
Puff the Magic Dragon is iconic, of course.
Of course, a classic.
But the story behind Light One Candle truly captivated me.
Yeah.
It was first performed not on some grand stage, but at a Hanukkah gathering in a Manhattan living room in 1982.
Wow. Okay.
So what stands out to you about those origins of the song?
Well, the context is so intriguing, isn't it? The fact that this song, now a Hanukkah staple worldwide, emerged from such an intimate setting during a time of, really global turmoil.
Yeah.
The Lebanon War was raging at the time.
Right.
It's just fascinating.
Yeah.
Yarrow was clearly grappling with how to craft a message that was both universal but also, deeply relevant to the political climate.
Absolutely. And he did it masterfully.
He did.
Those lyrics, particularly those lines about the Maccabee children and being denied their right to exist, are so powerful and haunting. And the way he connects that historical struggle to, a broader message of hope and resilience is remarkable.
I think he really manages to capture the essence of both the darkness and the light, wouldn't you say?
I would.
I mean, the song is both a lament for those who have suffered, but also a call to action for a better future.
Yeah.
It's really a testament to Yarrow's ability to weave together historical reflection, social commentary, and this kind of timeless message of hope.
Yeah, and it's this commitment to hope and action that really defines Yarrow's legacy, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, for sure.
He was deeply involved in social activism throughout his whole life.
Oh, yeah.
From opposing the Vietnam War to advocating for marginalized communities. He even performed in Ho Chi Minh City in 2005.
Really?
At a concert to benefit victims of Agent Orange.
Wow.
And asked for forgiveness on behalf of the United States.
That's incredible.
What do you think fueled this unwavering dedication to social justice for him?
Well, I think it's important to remember his activism was really deeply rooted in his Jewish faith. Specifically, the concept of tikkun olam.
Tikkun olam.
Which translates to repairing the world.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful concept.
Yeah.
That emphasizes our collective responsibility to make the world a better place.
Right.
And it's not just about acknowledging injustice.
Right.
It's about actively working to heal and transform it.
Yeah, that's such an important point. It wasn't just about singing protest songs.
Right.
It was about living those values every single day.
Exactly.
And it makes me think about light one candle in a new light.
Interesting.
That act of lighting a candle becomes more than a ritual. It becomes a symbol of our commitment to tikkun olam.
Right.
To bringing light to the darkness and fighting for a better tomorrow.
Absolutely. And I think it also highlights how Yarrow's music wasn't just entertainment. It was really a form of activism in itself.
Yeah.
It was a way to inspire hope, to galvanize action, and to remind people of their shared humanity.
Yeah. You know, one of the sources you provided shares this really heartwarming anecdote about Yarrow and his connection to the Poggerman family.
Yeah.
He lived just a few doors down from them in Manhattan and would often drop in for dinner, always with his guitar in tow.
I love that story. It really paints a picture of his warmth and approachability.
Yeah.
Here's this legendary musician who could have easily isolated himself. But instead chose to connect with his neighbors. Sharing his music and stories in such an intimate way.
Yeah, it's almost as if he couldn't help but share his gift of music with everyone around him. It speaks volumes about his genuine love for people and his belief in the power of music to forge connections.
Exactly.
And that brings us to a more challenging aspect of Yarrow's legacy. The part of his story that we can't shy away from. In 1970, he was convicted of taking improper liberties with a 14-year-old girl.
It's a difficult topic.
Yes.
But one that we need to address honestly and openly. It's important to acknowledge the harm caused and the impact it had on the victim.
Yeah. It's a stark reminder that even those who champion social justice and advocate for a better world are capable of causing harm.
Yeah.
The sources indicate that he answered the door naked when the young girl and her sister came to his hotel room for an autograph.
Oh, wow.
And then he made her touch him inappropriately.
Oh, gosh.
That's incredibly serious and disturbing.
Absolutely. A transgression that demands acknowledgement. Yarrow did serve 3 months in prison for this offense. And he later issued an apology acknowledging his wrongdoing. And he received a presidential pardon in 1981 from President Carter. However, even with a pardon, this event undeniably casts a shadow on his legacy.
Yeah, it's hard to reconcile this incident with the image of the warm, generous, community-minded man we've been discussing. How do we grapple with these contradictions when evaluating a person's legacy, especially someone like Yarrow, who seemingly dedicated his life to positive change?
It's a complex question, isn't it?
It is.
It challenges us to consider the totality of a person's life. The good and the bad, the light and the shadow. And I think we can acknowledge the positive impact that Yarrow had on so many lives through his music and activism, while also recognizing the harm that he caused. It's not about excusing or condoning his actions. But it's about understanding the full picture and engaging in, I think, a nuanced discussion about accountability and forgiveness.
It makes you think about the complexities of human nature.
It does.
How someone can be capable of such contrasting actions. And it raises questions about how we as a society deal with these issues, particularly within the context of the entertainment industry, where power dynamics can be so skewed.
Absolutely.
Do you think there are parallels between the societal attitudes toward this type of behavior back then and the conversations we're having today?
It's fascinating to consider how societal norms have shifted over time. You know, Yarrow stated in his apology that it was an era of real indiscretion and mistakes by male performers. And that statement really reflects, I think, the prevailing attitudes of that time. Today, there's a greater awareness of the power imbalances. And the need to hold individuals accountable for their actions, regardless of their status or fame.
Yeah, it's a conversation that continues to evolve, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
It's important to create a culture where victims feel empowered to speak out.
Yes.
And where there are consequences for harmful actions.
Absolutely.
But let's shift gears a bit and zoom out to look at Yarrow's broader impact.
Okay.
Peter, Paul, and Mary weren't just a band.
Right.
They were a cultural phenomenon.
They were.
Their music became the soundtrack for the civil rights and anti-war movements of the 1960s.
I mean, their music resonated so deeply with a generation that was yearning for change. Songs like Blowin' in the Wind, If I Had a Hammer, and Where Have All the Flowers Gone became anthems for peace and social justice. They weren't afraid to use their platform to advocate for what they believed in. Even if it meant facing criticism or backlash.
Yeah, and they weren't just performing these songs. They were actively involved in the movements themselves.
They were?
They marched with Martin Luther King Jr.
Wow.
Participated in protests and used their voices to amplify the calls for equality and justice.
Powerful stuff.
It's clear that their commitment to social change extended far beyond the stage.
Absolutely. It's a testament to the power of music.
Yeah.
To not only reflect the times, but to shape them.
Mm-hmm.
Their music gave voice to the hopes and fears of a generation.
Yeah.
Inspiring countless individuals to get involved in the fight for a better world.
And even though they disbanded in 1970, they reunited several times over the years.
They did.
Demonstrating the enduring power of their music and message.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think how their harmonies continue to inspire and mobilize people decades later.
It speaks to the universality of their themes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The yearning for peace, justice, and equality transcends generations.
Right.
And the simplicity and directness of folk music allows these messages to connect with people on a visceral level, regardless of their background or musical preferences.
I'm struck by the fact that their music continues to be sung at protests and rallies around the world today.
It's true.
It's a testament to their lasting legacy and the enduring power of folk music as a tool for social change.
It's a reminder that music can be a powerful force for good, a catalyst for change, and a source of hope and inspiration in times of turmoil and uncertainty. It can give voice to the voiceless, challenge the status quo, and connect us to something larger than ourselves.
And it brings us back to Peter Yarrow, a man whose life was a complex tapestry of love, music, activism, and tragically transgression. How do we reconcile these contrasting elements of his story? How do we evaluate a legacy that encompasses both profound contributions and serious flaws?
Those are challenging questions.
They are.
And there are no easy answers.
Right.
I think it requires us to approach Yarrow's legacy with a sense of nuance and compassion.
Okay.
Acknowledging the full spectrum of his actions and their impacts on others, we can appreciate the beauty and power of his music while also condemning his harmful actions. And recognizing the pain that he caused.
It's about holding space for both the good and the bad, the light and the shadow.
Exactly.
And it's about recognizing that even those who strive to make the world a better place are human, capable of both great and terrible things.
Precisely. It's a delicate balance, but an important one to strike. And ultimately, it's up to each individual to decide how they want to engage with Yarrow's legacy. Taking into consideration all the complexities and contradictions that it encompasses.
It's a conversation that requires empathy, critical thinking, and a willingness to grapple with uncomfortable truths.
It is.
And I think that's where the real value of a deep dive like this lies, in prompting these kinds of reflections.
For sure.
And encouraging deeper engagement with complex issues.
It's about moving beyond simplistic narratives. And embracing the richness and messiness of the human experience. It's in that space of thoughtful inquiry and honest dialogue that we can truly learn and grow.
So as we wrap up this exploration of Peter Yarrow's life and legacy, I'm curious what stands out to you most from all the material we've covered.
That's a great question.
What resonates with you on a personal level?
You know what I find particularly intriguing is that Yarrow's commitment to Tikkun Olam seems to have extended to his personal relationships as well. His reconciliation with McCarthy after so many years apart suggests a deep capacity for forgiveness and a belief in the possibility of redemption, even in the face of past hurts.
It's a powerful thought, isn't it?
It is.
The idea that we all have a responsibility to use our gifts wisely and ethically, it makes me think about how Yarrow's story, with all its complexities and contradictions, can serve as a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most well-intentioned individuals can stumble and fall short of their ideals.
Absolutely. It underscores the importance of humility, self-awareness, and a willingness to hold ourselves accountable for our actions.
Thinking back on all the material you provided for this deep dive, what stands out to you the most? Was there a particular anecdote, quote, or insight that really struck a chord?
You know what I find particularly intriguing? Is that Yarrow's commitment to Tikkun Olam seems to have extended to his personal relationships as well.
Oh, interesting.
His reconciliation with McCarthy, after so many years apart, suggests a deep capacity for forgiveness and a belief in the possibility of redemption, even in the face of past hurts.
That's a really interesting observation. It suggests that his belief in repairing the world wasn't just some political or social ideal, but something he actively strived to embody in his personal life.
I think so.
It adds another layer of complexity to his character.
It does.
Doesn't it?
And it raises all these questions about how we define and understand forgiveness.
Yeah.
Both in terms of personal relationships and in the broader context of social justice.
Right.
Like, is it possible to forgive someone who has caused harm without condoning their actions?
Right.
Can forgiveness be a catalyst for healing and growth, both for the individual and for society as a whole?
Those are profound questions.
They are.
And while there are no easy answers,
Right.
I think engaging with them thoughtfully is essential.
Absolutely.
Especially when we're grappling with legacies as complex as Peter Yarrow's.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. It's a process that requires empathy, critical thinking, and a willingness to embrace nuance and ambiguity.
Yeah.
It's a process that can be deeply enriching both personally and intellectually.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the life and legacy of Peter Yarrow, I'm left with a final thought-provoking question for you, dear listener.
Yeah.
How do we reconcile the beauty and power of his music, the impact of his activism, and the warmth of his personal connections with the knowledge of his transgression and the harm he caused?
Right.
Is it possible to appreciate his contributions while still holding him accountable for his actions?
It's a question that deserves careful consideration.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong answer.
Right.
But the act of wrestling with these complexities, I think, can lead to greater understanding.
Right.
Both of Peter Yarrow and of ourselves.
We hope this deep dive has provided you with new insights into the multifaceted life of Peter Yarrow.
Yes.
And has sparked some meaningful reflections.
I hope so.
We encourage you to continue exploring his music, delving into his activism, and engaging in thoughtful conversations about his legacy. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery.